Signal for liftoff in T-minus 30.
Stand by for further instructions, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment.
Secondary guidance systems engaged.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, it will be on my mark.
All systems are a go. All systems are a go.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, you are over the target. You are authorized to fire at will.
Hey, thanks for stopping by for another episode of Libertarian Lowdown. Busy week for you guys. You're watching this, it's Tuesday night. Make sure you're in the chat, engaging, saying hello. Channel mods, you know your roles and your duties. I'll be moderating with you tonight, so the supreme moderator will be moderating the moderators. And you guys are in for a treat because I have TJ and the Chair coming in today. And if you don't recognize the play on that from BJ and the Bear, that's your problem. You can go look it up on your own. But you guys are in for a treat because we have my good friends TJ and Rebecca coming on. TJ is running for Minnesota House and Rebecca is running for U.S. Senate. And I thought we would have them come on talk about their campaigns and why they're doing what they're doing. So before we bring them in, make sure you're down there somewhere is a thing that says join. I don't know what side it's on. It's on there somewhere. If you like what you see here and you enjoy the content and you want to help keep it going, please make sure that you do that. And if you pick a top level of membership, you can get, as you see scrolling across the bottom, big thanks. One to IMAV, a good friend of mine who subscribes on Subscribestar. He's a top level supporter over there. He's a show producer. And the Angry Vet from Maryland, who is also show producer, for all the support that he is throwing my way to the channel through memberships. And a big shout out to Pirate Tomsky and his efforts years ago to buy this very nice microphone for me all the way from Great Britain. So this is ironically, a Brit is helping an American who talks a lot about 1776 and the Constitution. He helps me talk about it by giving me this nice mic. So thanks to everybody that helps with the show. Big shout out to all the subscribers. I really appreciate you guys. And all you channel members, every single one of you, you have really made the show possible and kept it going. I cannot thank you enough. So there's a problem in the United States today, and that's probably going to upset a couple of you or a few of you. It's you, whoever's hearing this. The problem is you, just like it's me. We have allowed ourselves to be kind of corralled, kowtowed, and force teamed into being on one side or the other of the political spectrum. You're either a hard left progressive Democrat or you're some sort of allegedly far right nationalist Republican. And those are your options. And this year, more than any other, we've been hearing what I've been hearing since I was paying attention, that this year, this election cycle is the most paramount, the tantamount. It is the penultimate, most important election of our lifetimes. Now, keep in mind, there are people alive who are over 100 years old who have been hearing that this election is the most important election of our lifetimes. And those people have been hearing it for 100 years. And we're all to blame for that. Every single one of us. We're all 100% to blame for that. Either because we haven't been involved or we've bought into the lie that we have to keep doing what we've been doing the way we've been doing it for every one of the other most important elections of our lifetime, to only have it not work out the way we were told it was going to work out when the right person who got in during the most important election of our lifetimes was taking place. And years ago, I had enough, and I said, I'm done. And then I discovered that I couldn't stay out of the fight, but I couldn't stay in the fight the way I was, and that's how I ended up meeting TJ and Rebecca, because they came to the libertarian philosophy through their own battles, and they said, we're not going to be part of the fight the way the fight wants us to fight. We're going to do it our way, which is pretty much the entire liberty. You want to sum up all of libertarianism in one sentence: we're going to do it our way, or I'm going to do it my way, even if you don't like it. And that's really the way we should be. So, without any further ado, TJ and the chair.
Good afternoon, evening.
What'd you call it before? Something in the bear?
It's TJ and the chair.
Yeah, but what was it was referring to something in the bear. Like you were like play on words and go look it up. What was that?
You missed
BJ
it.
and the bear.
BJ and the bear.
Yeah, I should get the order right. TJ and the chair. So.
Yeah,
Madam Chair, thank you.
Trying to like fix my.
Thank you for joining us from what appears to be a small sweatshop in China.
Oh, my house or his?
No, yours.
Yeah.
TJ's looks like he's joining us from what appears to be the bedroom of a 15-year-old boy. You might want to.
This actually his hangout. At matter of fact, not far off. This is where my son hangs out. Minus the sign. He doesn't hang out with the sign.
No,
it is a pretty cool sign though.
Yeah.
I mean,
why don't you just get it out of the way, because people are going to ask. Just bring your sign closer so people can see what it is.
Well,
Yeah, other way. No, keep leaning further to the.
I can see it.
Okay, there you go. For those of you that are listening, he's holding up a sign of the United States Capitol with a flag waving majestically in the air, with a donkey and an elephant facing each other with blindfolds on. So, for those of you that are listening only.
Aaliyah.
Gosh, so you guys have been busy. It's been quite the election cycle. Are you doing your part to be part of the most important election of our lifetime? The most. Like, the last one was important, but not as important as the importance of this important one.
Go ahead.
Well, it's the biggest election I've ever been a part of, simply because I'm running. So, I mean, I guess everything else is relative, So, yeah, I mean, I'm just like busy, and I'm always busy. So, just adding a campaign on top of it. I keep being asked like, "Oh, how's it going?" And I have absolutely no way of judging that. No way whatsoever.
Well, they're not polling for they're not polling for you anyway, really.
I mean, even if they were, the polls they're not accurate. They're biased, and they're skewed to like I don't trust them at all anyways, because remember in 2016, like Hillary was going to win by a landslide. That's not what happened. So I don't trust the media. I don't trust the polls. I don't trust the people. Like, it's just, all of this is it's another cog in the propaganda machine. So I don't know. We'll see what the end result is on Wednesday morning. But in the meantime, I'm just trying to, like, nose to the grindstone, or whatever the saying is, and just keep going forward, because what else can you do,
Yeah, we'll see if we see.
Well, that was a great show. Thanks. Now I'm depressed. So
we'll see if we see results on Wednesday morning. But yeah, I'm actually similar, but different approach. I ran also in 2022, and we got 5% of the vote, and I felt we had some good support in the Minnesota party, and we were having some good momentum with Rebecca finally getting the chair, and things felt great at this convention this year. And
Yeah.
I do feel like a lot of that momentum slowed down after the national convention. Then it really did. A lot of the folks that were hard charging kind of lost their spirit. But there still was a lot of good stuff. We got all the signatures we needed, Rebecca and I both, and that was really energizing to get that accomplished. You know what I mean? That was a lot of sweat, man, in 2 weeks.
That was huge. Like
Yeah.
being able to overcome not just mine, but yours also, like the signature, the balloting and the petitioning, because as a minor party in Minnesota, we don't get instant ballot access. Like the hurdles that, and this is why maybe I have just such a cynical view of like the media, because the whole system from beginning to end as not being part of the major parties is just one. They put one speed bump, one hurdle, one more challenge in front of you every step of the way. Like that never stops, you know? So
yeah, well, and that's actually kind of where I was leading to. We're talking about in 2022, and then okay, now in 24, we'll see if we gain momentum with actual voters. And that's where I can answer a question. How's your campaign going? Well, here's 22 and here's 24. Let's see where we go. I think you're right. And then also to tack onto that as well, the shows like TC's, the shows like you and I were doing, Rebecca, the more and more of that content that is out of us talking that people can actually see. And that stuff is becoming a lot more popular than the mainstream media stuff. Although I'm still not sold on that completely. I think there are so many normies that listen to that Nora McDonald or whatever her name is on Channel 4 that's on right before Wheel of Fortune, and it just, oh my goodness.
It's far more than I like. What are you talking about?
Yeah. No, we're big fans of the Wheel, so I'll turn it on if we're having dinner or something, and then just watching some of this stuff that's on CBS blows my mind.
Guys, if I act different with TJ and Rebecca, I have to, because if I was on here all serious, TC, political commentator, philosopher with them, they'd be worried and probably calling for a welfare check. So
Did you see?
I don't know. Have you seen my circle? Like it doesn't, like very little shocks me.
So I'm going to show you guys where I am at right now as it regards how important this election is. So this is where I'm at right now. This is kind of what it's come down to for me.
Yes.
That's how I feel about this election right
buddy.
now. Like I may eat a lot of eggs no matter what happens. When it comes
you know what I was doing when we were texting?
This is me giving a finger to the local the local state here is that's, and sadly, people, I really appreciate you tuning in to watch the girls on Saturdays and Sundays. But seriously, 600 of you people watched them for an hour and 45 minutes this morning. That's that I recorded this. 600 of you watched the chickens. Where are you?
Does Tim Pool still have his Chicken City thing, or are you taking
stop
over?
Bringing up Tim Pool. I don't care about Tim Pool's chickens.
Well, I'm just saying there's a market for it. Obviously, there's a market for it. People watching chickens.
I should take more video of my donkey and my cow. I mean, I have conversations with Amy
this
every
is
morning.
what it's come down to for me. Oh, that's right. You named your donkey Amy, didn't you?
I did. She's gonna be,
that's the best.
She's gonna be Tina in a few months.
Yeah.
Well,
how does that?
And that's Hildy. That's Hildegard right there. She's the charge. She's in charge.
Queen of the flock. Yeah, when they're talking about like pecking order for anything, it's because that's how chickens, there's a hierarchy in the coop, and who's in charge. They know who's in charge.
Oh, they do. Yeah. Till I walk out, and then they all think I'm in charge. But I'm all right with no. So I just
Okay.
I just wanted to throw that in there because I thought you guys would get
Well,
a kick out of it.
I
That's
love
where
it.
I literally where I am.
I'm really close to convincing my wife that we can get chickens in our backyard, and we have a little clubhouse that's attached to the garage that stores the furniture in the wintertime, but I can turn that into a chicken coop pretty easily, and we'll see. This shit
Next
really
spring project.
we're just stepping
Between
into the
campaigns.
gardening. We're just getting into the gardening. But going back to, hey, when you're talking about the biggest election of our lifetime, right? And people have been saying that for 100 years. Well, we all know why. I think we've all probably talked about this before because, well, the government is growing at each time. The government grows, so it has this much more power. So it actually is the most important election of our lifetime, right? And now it's swelled
When
to
am I gonna get you to stop saying the government and start saying the state? Come on,
the
man.
state. Well, I do think about that a lot, TC. I do think about saying the state instead, and then folks, a lot of normies think that I'm talking about Minnesota. Then they just say, "Oh, you're just
That's
talking."
then you break it down. You give them the breakdown. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm trying to keep them as an audience here, dude. I'm trying to. I don't.
You're a
I-
libertarian. You can't keep your audience, bro.
I know.
You guys down at Metro have a much bigger hurdle than we have up here, basically like just south of Canada. There's a lot of people here that,
Literally.
there's no, people just don't trust the state. They don't trust the government. They don't trust people of authority in general. And you can
Bunch of
very
damn outlaws.
easily, the conversations. I mean, even like checking out at Walmart, you can just go into like this conversation with your cashier or like whoever. I mean, just random people run into about how much they dislike the current government and the current state, and the way things are going. Like, there's just so little hope that our elected leaders will ever provide a solution that benefits people and that will help them prosper in their lifetime. There's so little hope that people have just kind of resigned themselves that, like, well, they're not they're not going to succeed. Like, they offer nothing. So down in the cities, I think there's still a lot more belief that the state has something to offer people.
No,
And
there's a lot more recipients of the state welfare.
well, and see, so I was in Minneapolis on Thursday, and I was with Reverend Tim, he's Berean Baptist Church. I might be pronouncing that right. I can't remember. Anyways,
Berean, yeah.
Berean. Okay, we are like, he's taking me around and showing me like the drug houses, all the empty homes in Minneapolis that have boards over the windows. The homeless camps where
You just started talking about Reverend
I'm
Tim,
just
and the
like,
light started to
like,
shine on you. I'm like I'll have to clip this out and send that to Rev. He'll get a kick out of it.
but the homeless camps where people are in tents literally all year, even through the winter. And I asked, because I know I'm familiar with homeless and those things that lead to people being homeless. I'm not, and I don't know. I just it hurts, like it hurts my heart to see people living in that kind of. But I asked, what do they do in wintertime? We live in Minnesota, regardless of whether you're northern Minnesota or southern Minnesota. Minnesota is an extreme climate. It gets cold here. And he told me that there's a lot of cold weather injuries, amputations, hypothermia, that basically those 1 pound, propane canisters are like gold down in the homeless camps, because you can, plug those into something and keep yourself warm enough from dying, but that's not living. Regardless, like whether you die or that's not living. And so, and then we went to like the George Floyd memorial where he was killed. and to the 3rd precinct where everything was started burning down. And so I was, seeing it all. And you can see it through pictures and you can hear the stories, but when you're seeing it with your own eyes, you see things differently. And the people, this is what I took out of that, is that there are people in the city that know that the government is not their friend. They know that the police are not going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They know that there are things that are systematically wrong with what is happening, but they don't know how to fix it. They don't know what to do next. And they don't know how to get themselves out of the situation because they grew up there. Their parents are from there. Their grandparents are from there. So these are all generational issues.
It's the same kind of problem that you have with people in rural areas. I don't know. This is my life. This is where I was born. This is where I was raised. And I don't know how to get out of it.
Right. So when you have that bond to your, essentially your homeland, that's what it is. You have regardless, anybody, you can tell me where you're from, where you grew up, that's home. And so home always has this tug to it that draws you back. Right. So when you're talking about the government and things like that, they know that what is happening is not the way that it should be. It's not working in their favor. Things are not going right. But that nobody is offering a viable solution that could offer the same things in a different way. And that's what I think that we need to be very aware of, is that the Republicans have and probably legitimately so, they have a reputation of leaving behind the most vulnerable to to where they're, so when you're talking about cutting taxes or cutting programs, that's something that people are well, we know we don't like the Democrats, but they're the ones that are going to keep offering us this because this is what we have to exist. It's like a drug. Yep. So we need to be very aware that's the hurdle that we need to be facing as libertarians, that if we're going to offer something different, it has to be a viable solution with a smooth transition in a way that leaves the state out of the equation and puts the power back into the hand of the people. That's what has to happen. That's what we need to do. But additionally, we can't do that from a place within the state within the political seats, because the system is also against us from being able to ever get there. So what do we do?
TJ, you were gonna offer something?
Well, there was one sentence right when he said, get the state out of the way and put the power back with the people. And that area, right, our good pal Ryan lives right down there. You were just a block away from his house. And every time yeah. And I've seen them do it. They're on Lake Street where the cops don't come. There's still business and commerce going on. You know what I mean? And they're making it work however they're doing it. So I totally think you're exactly right that these folks are fed up. But then you go back to where TC and I were talking, where you're talking to folks and trying to explain to them the libertarian solution is literally getting all the state out of the way and let the free market and let human action take its course. But it just, people are so afraid of that. Oh, then this will happen. Oh, well, then this will happen. Oh, well, then see, the market will crash and then we'll have this Great Depression. It's well, to be honest, that can has been kicked up the hill so high that the dollar is going to just implode. And
I think that this also needs to be driven home, because we don't want to get the state out of the way just to get the state out of the way. It's not because we think that we can do it. Well, we do think we can do it better, but it's not just for that reason, but also because at this point, the state has positioned itself to be a weapon against the people.
Well, we need to convince them that, yeah, and I think folks are waking up to that. Absolutely. They really are waking up to this, and I think when we're talking about just get the state out of the way and let the people do what the people should do, be able to do. And what I think has happened is that so many folks are wrapped up into the state now. All their livelihoods. You bust into one thing, then you're messing with 10,000 jobs. Then what's my job? It's like, okay, well, find some. And they hate me if I say, well, find something new. But man, that's part of evolution and of whatever has to happen. Like, we don't build typewriters anymore. We don't do this kind of crap anymore. Like, it has to evolve.
Yeah, but there's also always going to be resistance when it comes at the cost of somebody, so we got to, whatever it is that we do. And I have some ideas, and I don't know, after this is over, because I'm thinking not just, like the election is going to end November 5th, 2024. That's when everybody casts their ballots. But that's
then
not
the next
one.
The next one starts on November 6th. So
yeah, that's not the end of the story. We have 2 years in between now and the next most important election of our lifetime. If we're looking at a forward motion, like if that's the direction this is going, we know the next one's going to be equally greater importance, whatever. We have 2 years in between now and then to come up with something and put these plans into action. And the best time to start would have been like 10 years ago. Then the next best time to start is right now. So this is all I think about. This is all I think about. And so I have some ideas that I really want to get the people together that can agree, just
no, we're gonna stop you right now, Madam Chair. That's a different show.
I'm not going to go into it. I'm not going to go into it. It's just like we have 2 years to get the next most important election of our lifetime up and going. We don't have the luxury of waiting until we figure out if we are going to make it through petitioning. I think that's a disadvantage. We need to start that now, and then just assume that in between now and petitioning, which we require to get onto the ballot, that we're going to get through it. But we cannot be complacent.
For lack of better terminology, the recruiting process has got to be in place now to get people to just even be willing to be on board with signing a petition.
Let's talk November 6th. Like, when you have disappointed X, whatever, half the country's going to be disappointed. Although I will see what happens after that. But there's going to be a lot of folks that are.
Well, yeah, but we're used to that.
Well, yeah, of course. But every year
we're all going to be bereavement counselors, is what you're saying.
I'll be honest, there's a lot of folks that I really like to listen to and hear what they got to say, that the party folks like us are just in transition to really just straight up goodbye government and agorist type.
Let's talk about this. TJ, you ran in 2022, and at the risk of stating the obvious, you didn't win. And Rebecca, you didn't. This is probably not a huge campaign endorsement, but your own testimony to running for Senate was, I really didn't want to do this. It was not in my. I didn't wake up 10 years ago and go, gosh, I'd like to run against Amy Klobuchar sometime.
No.
That wasn't this. This is actually kind of forced on the party from the Senate angle, because every 2 years you've got to run. The party has got to run a candidate for a statewide election. Mm-hmm. Has to keep their party status, even a minor party status.
Yeah, there's also the strategic value of running a race of this caliber for the Libertarian Party. Like, we know, especially with running against somebody like Amy Klobuchar, right? Like, the last time she ran and won her seat, she won with a 23% margin against her Republican opponent. 23%. Like, that's not even, I mean,
Nobody even
it's not even
remembers who ran
close.
against her.
No, and I have no idea. I don't know who that.
I
Even
don't
if I looked
remember.
at the name, I'd be like, I don't know who that is. That's how much of an impression that person left, right? So, but the strategic value of us running a race of this caliber against somebody like a political giant like Amy Klobuchar in the state is that I could come and say, hey, I have these ideas about liberty and the future, and how we can make, our economy more prosperous, and how we can help our fellow neighbor, and what we need to build each other up, because of ultimately, like, that's the goal. The Libertarian Party believes in the rights of the individual, but I don't think that we can fully dismiss the needs of the collective also. Like, we need to love our neighbors. We need to be involved and interact with each other. There's also great value in that. But I could come and like talk to somebody and try to like share my ideas as Rebecca Whiting. Nobody cares. I do that as a US Senate candidate running against Amy Klobuchar when there's the people that don't like her really, really don't like her. And they are more than willing to listen to what I have to say, simply because this is the only thing that's coming to my mind right now. But the balls to run against somebody like Amy Klobuchar, like, throw myself out there. And you're right. Like, I would rather be on my farm doing the farm stuff, hanging out with my donkey and my cows, and feeding the pigs in the mornings, and taking care of the chickens, and making cheese with the milk because I milk twice a day. Like, I'd rather be doing that. But greater than that is my need to have left behind a future that I can hand over to my children, so that they also have a life that they can live freely someday. That is even greater than what my needs are, or not even my needs. Those are my desires, right? Like, so I want to do that. But the needs of the people have to be greater than the desires of us as individuals. That's what has to come first.
Yeah, I guess I see that as a way that I put it, that once the folks are impacted enough, they'll start really listening to some honest, genuine people like you and me. And I think folks are more and more fed up every year and every time they see all the idiocy that's going on with freaking everything that goes on in that capital at both Minnesota and the U.S. Capitol, the jibber jabbering and all the nonsense. It's just ridiculous, and it just bloats and bloats, and that's all democracy, the god that failed, man. Once I got that in my mind, it's like, well, there's no incentive. All the incentive is for them to take everything they can and then get out. And so just like, well, we need to stop that. And so we need folks, even if it's just a spattering, like 5 or 6 in each house in each state or whatever, that are stand up and say, whoa, hold on. Because it just seems like they say this nonsense. You can only see it on C-SPAN or YouTube or whatever, and you see what they actually say. And there's some really insignificant people out there spewing some really dumb crap. And those are people that are elected in our house. And to see what the heck they're talking about, and the money that they just blow through, billions of dollars of Minnesotans' monies, it blows my mind.
$17 billion of surplus tax gone in less than one political season. And
a lot of
with an addition of $10 billion in taxes that we have from now into the future.
Yes.
So like that's a substantial burden that they have forced upon non-consenting people. That's what's happening.
Can't wait till they have that brand new building right there for the House members. Maybe if they get elected, they'll have a nice new office in this brand new building they spent, I don't know, $500 million on or something. It was something that was really done lame duck wise in a session, or how it was unreal how it was accomplished. And it's just right there for everybody to see. But yeah, we got the date. We got our own stuff. Your farm, my job, my kids, our lives that we want to live with our families and our people that we actually love and trust. Why the F do we want to pay attention to what the hell they're doing over there in their ivory tower? Well, once you do, folks like us and our autistic type minds or whatever are like, wait, and then you go down this rabbit hole, and then wait.
Your tizzy is showing.
Well,
Your tizzy is.
it is. Brian hates it when I use that. A lot of folks do actually, but it's just one of those things when if you start going down, like, why isn't everybody as pissed as I am? Well, you got lives.
Well, here's what it comes down to, is that either things are so good you don't need to pay attention because life is great, and you have to worry about it. Like we got the right set of people in place doing the right things, so why bother paying attention? Or things are so bad you don't have the opportunity, the luxury, the time, whatever, to pay attention because you're too busy trying to fix all the actual the symptomatic problems for what's actually causing it. So, like, who's got time for that? Like, no.
Well, and I think a lot of people just don't know what to do too. So then eventually what happens is that because you don't know how to fix the problems are too big for you to be able to address. They're too deeply entrenched into who we are as a people. And then the solutions are, they're caught up in the bureaucracy and the red tape of the way that our government is run because it's so inefficient. Nobody knows what's going on. You got to fill out this form. It takes 6 months to get this done. You have some secretary sitting in an office that won't let you talk to anybody of a higher level because, she's got like some sort of like complex and, not that that's ever happened to me, but, so you have all of this stuff.
There's literally a commercial that comes on prime time that it's a lady that shows herself and that was right on the side. I'm a Medicare decomplicator. That's like, whatever this outfit is, they're making money by people that because the system's so damn complicated, they have folks that have learned the system.
Just that
sounds like a CPA to me, actually. If you're getting down to brass tacks,
you just touched on something. Literally, you're getting what amounts to a handout for free to you through Medicare or whatever it is, but now you have to go and hire somebody to come and decomplicate it for you. Yeah. Wouldn't you be better off with just like think about it? Like
if there was like a menu and you like, hey, this is what we need, and the doctors.
Not even that. Just think of that. You had to pay out of pocket for somebody to help you decomplicate the thing that you're getting for free.
Yeah. But I also want to be like, make sure that this is said out loud. Like we can talk about the failures of the system, the bureaucracy, the complications, the all of that. This isn't happening because of negligence or because somebody was what's the word I'm looking for? Like they didn't, out of ignorance. They didn't do this.
No, this is malfeasance.
The system is acting exactly like it was designed to act.
This is
not meant to build people like you and me up so that we are stronger and more capable people. This is meant to enslave us and to keep us down. All they want from us is to be blind and obedient. Everything that comes out of this system is immoral and evil, and we need to resist. Like that's what it comes down to. I'm just going to take this time to recognize that my FBI agent, I just want to give you a nice hi, and I appreciate your presence. But you should.
And yes, your presence is malignant and malfeasant. Yes, we.
Yeah. We almost have like a personal relationship. I know that he watches all my content, so.
You only have one? You're slacking.
Yeah.
I got a whole team of BCA agents and FBI agents. Not even joking. Honestly, I haven't even really looked at what is BCA, Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, like. there's this huge building right in St. Paul I drive by every once in a while that like, is this just the jail? Or there was a TV show, right? There's a whole night last night. The whole night was after Wheel of Fortune, again, back to Wheel, but all this damn FBI, SWAT, and it's
Well, in the TV shows, they're always the good guy.
It's called propaganda, TJ.
Exactly. Not that I'm. It's amazing though the way that folks' minds work, and it.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it, TJ. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm such a
and the thing is coming from our non-aggression principle point of view is that, well, I don't want to take control of anybody's damn mind, but when their damn mind's being controlled, they're not going to want to listen to me.
Well, we're making headway.
Honestly,
I might be gaining traction with some of my stuff. Let's just put it that way.
The best thing that's come out of this campaign for me is to watch all of the like former people who identified as being like Republican, and having them like this, there's this switch, that flips, and they're like, holy crap, like and they're essentially leaving. Like there was another message yesterday. I have left the Republican Party and I am coming and I want to talk to you guys and see what else is going on. And I think the closer that it gets to November 5th, I've had more and more people be like, hey, they were the ones, the stereotypical like right-leaning people, Well, my screen is backwards. Anyways.
Did you hear that? I just hit my knee. Oh.
I have the door blocked, but the kids are still trying to come in.
That's a horror movie, right? Got the door locked and the monsters are trying to get in.
The latch on my door doesn't go into the door frame and close, so I have it blocked by the door.
You mean you have a house, is what you mean? You just have you have a house, yes.
Yep. So, anyways, the right-leaning people that are like recognizing the failures of the Republican Party, like the people that want the freedom, they want the bureaucracy, they want all of this to go away so that they can be left alone and up to their own devices and just allowed to make their own choices, and watch them see time and time again. And maybe this is the most important election of our lifetime, because there have been so many people that have walked away from the Republican Party. And do you remember that movement? Maybe it was in 2016. Yeah, remember? So now, like, the Republican Party is having its own walk away. Like, you've got to leave. This is the Republican Party is not going to be the solution to the future. They cannot be. They are lost.
Well, I appreciate your optimism, but I'm just going to tell you this is exactly what's going to happen with the Republicans. Trump's going to win. Mm-hmm. He's going to win. He's going to get he's got the Electoral College on a lockdown. I mean, short of like literal malfeasance, Trump's got the Electoral College. He's going to win. He's a lame duck. He's going to go into it without any real support in the House or the Senate. He's going to exit, and the Republicans get to start over with a clean slate. They absorb the MAGA movement like they did the Tea Party movement, and the stalwarts of the MAGA movement are going to just do what a lot of the stalwarts of the Tea Party movement did. They're going to just let themselves be co-opted, and it's going to go right back to business as usual. And you're going to see them run the exact same kind of candidates against Michelle, and let's just be honest, it's Michelle Obama in 2028. That's who it's going to be.
And you're going to have our guard. That just reiterates in my mind why we do not have the luxury of dropping our guard.
Exactly. And so I'm not pushing back on you, Madam Chair, to be, like push.
You wouldn't be the first person this week. It's fine.
To push back against your optimism that the Republicans are done. The Republicans have been done. because that's their role. They're playing their role. They give them the White House for 4, maybe 8 years, and then they swap. And then the Republicans, especially in Minnesota, run on this and this alone. The Democrats are evil, and we're not the Democrats.
Mhm.
They run. There's nothing of substance.
Yep.
And I have a lot of good Republican friends. I have Republican friends that are holding office in Minnesota right now, but none of them are running on. Here's what Here's what I'm running on that's got substance. There, I got it. It's just vote for me because I'm not one of those evil Democrats.
Mhm.
And there's no solutions. There's no actual answers being given, and to what they're going to do. Yes, we all know what they advocate for is evil. We know that it's evil. We understand that it's evil. But just saying you're not that kind of evil is not enough anymore. And that's what I like about the Libertarian Party and the candidates, you and TJ and others, is that you guys, you bring to this, not that I'm not a Democrat and I'm not a Republican. You come and say, no, I'm a libertarian, and here's what I stand for. And that's what gives me hope. So like, TJ, you're in the cities, but you're not in North Minneapolis kind of cities. You're a little bit more suburban.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the tone and the tenor of your district? Because what district is it?
44B. Yeah,
40,
we're on the east side of St. Paul, with North St. Paul and Oakdale, Landfall, and Pine Springs. We're all suburban towns on the east side, and I think
big enough that you could have a porch tour.
Well, that wasn't in my district. We had it at Amy and Chase's house, which is just a little north in White Bear Lake, but it's very suburban as well. Yeah, and there's some properties in our district that have, man, there's a farm actually in Oakdale that has, I'm not even sure what they have, but it's very diverse. But I really do believe that anyone that is a homeowner, is tired of the crap. I think it's very purple, if you want to put it that way, as far as mixed, right? I think the last few elections, the Democrats been in power for a long time, or been elected, been the representative, but I still think I think everybody in Minnesota is swayable. I think maybe not everybody. There are plenty of folks that are just
Oh, I know. Trust me. I would love to be optimistic with you, but
I don't even know how to put. Yeah, like the thing is where you start stereotyping or generalization statements. I'm not really into making those, but I do have some ideas of where these folks live and how they pretty much vote. And I think, like, we were going back to what we were saying before, it's kind of where I think the grassroots and consistent effort is going to get us to never quit, right? If we never quit, we just consistently stay here and we keep having the same message. And I think folks are going to be like, wow, maybe it's time. And those folks never go back, right? Never leave then. If you're one to stay here, and just like you're saying, TC, you've been doing this for a few years, and now it's growing because you're consistent and because you're not wavering on this BS. And so when you gain a follower, they stay. And that's where I think that's what we need to do, is just stay consistent and keep taking the freaking L's. Fine. Sure. I'm fine with that. Keep having to do the BS signatures every couple of years. Fine. I'm fine with that. But when it happens, be ready that we're going to freaking make some changes, and it's going to be glorious.
You said something that you're very purple in your district.
Well, that's just the red and blue mixture, right? I really do believe that.
I was just going to say, for those people who are maybe in one of those purple districts, normally when I see purple, I'm being strangled. So just let people think about that politically. Yeah. If your district's purple, you're just being strangled. by both parties is what's happening. They're
Sure.
strangling. They're
Well,
strangling you. That's why you're purple. You're they cut off their airflow. That's not very nice, but that's just what it is. Rebecca, you came into this, and TJ, you came into this knowing that it was an uphill battle. Even, TJ, you're not running for a statewide seat, but you still know it's an uphill battle. Rebecca, you knew that.
Mm-hmm.
For each of you individually, and you said, TJ, I'll keep taking the L's if I have to. Obviously, that's not what we want. We don't want you or Rebecca or anybody else. We have somebody running for school board in her district. We want people to start winning. But what I see in your guys' willingness to make these runs, Rebecca, at a statewide seat for a seat that really, to me, is even more important than who the president is, quite frankly. And TJ, with what you're doing, far more important than who even the governor is. When it comes down to it, if you have the right people in the House and the Senate, it doesn't matter who the president or who the governor is, because the House and the Senate can shut them down pretty quickly. But what I think this does is it opens up the door to get people who don't necessarily want to run for a big time position to look at things like running for city council and running for school board and running for county commission, which are ostensibly supposed to be nonpartisan. But come on, let's be real. There is no such thing as a nonpartisan election. I hate that garbage. I hate that garbage. It's nonpartisan. Bull crap. It's nonpartisan. Everything is partisan. But you guys are paving the way for people to run for what I see as the most important seats, which are the county and the city and the school board positions. And so even if you don't win, it's not a loss. You're not taking an L. You're on the vanguard of a movement to spark some revitalization into people's lives. Before we recorded this, and for those of you that are watching, no, this is not a live stream, even though it looks like a live stream to you. It's not. It's a recording. Before we recorded this, I had the libertarian Muslim from Wisconsin on, and I was how do I want to explain this? I don't. It's about having the conversations with people is what it is. He had said something when he introduced himself, and I encourage everybody to watch my conversation with him Wednesday night. This is airing on a Tuesday night for the first time. But I want you guys to, after you watch this, go watch my conversation with him. And he said something in his opening. He's like, I have conversations with people and I don't like to debate. But when I do debate, I have to realize that when I'm debating, I'm not talking to the person I'm debating anymore. I'm talking to the people that are watching. And 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 some of you have heard me say this, it's multiple times. The person that I'm talking to about libertarian philosophy, libertarian principles and ideals may not even be my target. I may even not know who my target is. It might be the person who's standing in the background overhearing what I'm talking about. And that's what we have to do. And that's why what you guys are doing is so important. Yeah, you want to win, but your target is other people being motivated and inspired to say, yes, I really agree with what these people stand for. And I really agree with what they're doing. And now I want to do this at a local level. And it looks an awful lot like this. And I know you guys will get a kick out of this. It's getting people to stop thinking in the binary of the duopoly of the uniparty. And it's getting them to start thinking that they actually believe what we believe. They really do. The vast majority of the people that live around us believe what we believe. They don't know that because they grew up under the binary of Republican or Democrat. I'm a Democrat, so I believe what Democrats believe, or I'm a Republican. I believe what Republicans believe. But when you talk to them, they live like anarcho-capitalists. When you talk to them, they live like libertarians. And you do that by really sitting down next to them and saying, hey, let's get a cup of coffee, or let's get a craft brew. If anybody tries to bring up a macro brew, I will personally hunt you down and make you swallow that can. Busch Light can go to, never mind. Unless you want to sponsor me, then Busch Light, we're all in. But it's, like, let's get a cup of coffee. Let's go chew on some gummies together or something, and just say, so tell me, what time did the city tell you had to get out of bed this morning? What time did the city tell you had to have breakfast this morning? What time did the city tell you had to have, your kids fed by? What time did the city tell you to go out and water your yard? Now, we
Yeah.
all know that if we give the city the opportunity to do it, they will. But that's not how we live our lives. We all live our lives like anarcho-capitalists. We all live our lives like libertarians. And it's only when the city state or the school board state or the county state or the state state or the federal state steps in and does something asinine that we wake up and go, wait a minute, you don't have, you can't tell me how to, what? Well, I guess you can. And that's what we have to get people to realize. And that's why what you guys are doing is so damn important, is because it's waking up other people downstream from you, not in a negative sense, but downstream from you, to say, I can do this at the local level. Rebecca, you'll remember this, and I don't know if TJ saw it, but when your opponent, Royce White, was on with the guys over at, what's Duesenberg call his show? I can't
Action
remember.
for Liberty.
Yeah, but he's got a name for his show too.
Oh,
But
Truth Hurts.
Yeah, Truth Hurts. He had Royce on, and I asked this question about the primaries to Royce. I said, Royce, what happened to all the down ballot or downstream candidates that endorsed you and supported you? Why did so many of them lose? Royce didn't have an answer. He goes, I don't know anything about that. And that's what I know about you guys, is you're concerned about the down ballot. You're concerned about the other people in the party. You're concerned about the other people that share that philosophy. And as much as your opponents all talk about how much they care about the other people and the little people, Royce's response in that moment proved how much he just doesn't give a damn about anybody but Royce, which makes him just like everybody else in the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. They just don't care about anybody else until it comes time to need their vote. And that's why, and I know I've said this before, that's why you two are so damn important to the cause right now.
Well,
win or lose, you are inspiring people.
Well, imagine this. This was when I did do a forum back in September. The League of Women Voters held a forum in the Little Canada City Hall. The Republican that's running in my race hasn't shown up or didn't show up, and I haven't seen anything live from him. You know what I mean? Or not live, just nothing of any kind of campaigning. The other Republican, Carla, man, and I keep forgetting her name. She was very nice, but she did show up. She had no idea who he was. That right there in our party, every dang candidate would be known by every single person in the party. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's a lot smaller, but even those two are in the same district, right? So isn't that the same BPOU or whatever they're called when they have all this in their party and all this organization? How is it still that disconnected? That then really opened my eyes to see, man, they are just plucked or placed, I think, or I don't know.
You just said plucked after we watched my chickens.
Yeah.
Shame on you.
I do want to like
illness. Go ahead, Rebecca.
What I was thinking when you were talking about this, because a lady called me yesterday. One of the Pete Stauber, actually from CD8, was coming to Bemidji to do a forum, like just to come and talk to the Republicans in Beltrami County. And she was like, "Hey, I'm going to this. It was only in like 45 minutes. I was still doing morning chores. It was like, I need more time to, like there's no way I can get there." And she was like, "Well, what kind of questions should I ask?" And so I was like, you should ask something along the lines of, and I don't remember exactly the way I said it, but I was like, you should ask him why he has not stood his ground against the needing congressional approval for war, and that why he has allowed and not like spoken out against all of this military action done at the orders of the president when it should have always been congressional approval for any sort of war actions. And she was like, well, I wrote a letter to him before and he's responded that, and I can't remember what she said, but it was essentially like, he doesn't care. It's the president who has it. And I was like, so she said, well, I already know what he's going to say. And I was like, but look, listen, you still got to ask this question because you're not talking to him. You're not asking him. He is not going to change just because you confronted him with something and asked a question of him in a place that he showed up to. He's not going to. Who you are talking to is every other single person in that room that is going to hear him stutter and trip over his answer because he knows that he is in the wrong, and we need them to start paying attention and to see what's going on. That's who you're talking to when you ask these questions.
That's right.
And because they need to hear what his answers are. That's who you're talking to. And
yeah, absolutely.
I have felt from this campaign that my purpose in this campaign is not to win the seat. My purpose, even let's just say, like some miracle happened.
Don't you need a vacation though? I'm
not sure it's a vacation I want to take, but that's a completely different conversation.
You could use a time off. That's really.
But my purpose in all of this is to help speak out and awaken people who haven't, they're just so close. They just need to help work through like those little things of, and me ask the questions and be in that situation where I can, and they can jump to their own conclusions. I need to be in a situation where I can ask them, whatever the question is, and then, then they start thinking of the answers. And when they start thinking of the answers, normal people organically are not going to come up with a, I need to ask the government for permission or for a solution. Or if they do, because some will, or if they do, you start, helping them work through that too. So
right.
Like you said, even if I get, something happens, miracle happens, and I get elected, if I have not created a movement behind what caused the election and the winning the election, then once I am not in that place, everything else fizzles out and dies. And then we have solved nothing. What we have to do in these positions is to keep the movement alive, keep the energy going, keep pushing back on the people that haven't, they're just not quite there. They just need a little help. And then confronting the people who are making all of these super bad choices, whether they're doing it through negligence, ignorance, or malfeasance, it doesn't even matter. We need to confront bad ideas. That's the purpose of a campaign of this caliber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt. Yep. And stay consistent. Again, like I was saying before, stay consistent and folks will latch on. And I think we're rolling. Maybe not like a big snowball on a hill, but I think we're gaining traction and folks are listening to you and me whenever. And those are the conversations. Like I said, I do talk to folks, man, you guys both know I work for the Department of Defense. And I do a lot of talking with soldiers and sailors and airmen. Haven't met anyone yet with the Space Force, but I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, if there's anybody out there that does know someone that is a Space Force veteran, please have them reach out to me. We're looking for a Space Force veteran for Vet Nation for a veterans panel that we're going to be doing on a.
I'm not sure the Space Force has existed long enough to actually have a veteran of the Space Force.
There has to be, because because there
Well,
have
I
been
think
people
most
that
of
have
them.
gotten out of the Space Force as Space Force. I don't
Yeah,
know,
but
what are
what
they?
would they? What does
Space
this?
cadets? Is that what we're calling them?
There's no rocket ships. This isn't Battlestar Galactica. Like this is not.
We'll
Anyways,
see. But I like to spread the message to these folks, and it's tactfully, right? Especially when you're talking anti-war. But that sticker and those patches you hold up, those are proudly on my Pelican case. Bring our troops home and defend the guard. And I point at them and I talk about it like, hey, what's the point, right? When was the last time our Congress actually declared war? And your whole lifetime, my whole lifetime, and anybody in this room's lifetime, we've been at war, and nobody's declared it, and it's just ridiculous.
Well, I do have a question
we're-
for you. Go ahead, Rebecca.
I know we're just watching the time, but I do want to make sure too that I
That's when the
point out
libertarians
that
care about time. Time is
Yeah.
a construct that forces me into subservience and a servile nature to societal norms.
But in the meantime, before I lose this thought, that was plenty enough time to do. But anyways, the greatest witness, I guess, that we have towards our ideas and the way that we change people's minds and to even pay any attention whatsoever is by the way that we live our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is who we are is the greatest testimony to what we do. And I know, like, I'm a Bible believing Christian, so like there's a lot of correlation between like missions work for telling people about Jesus, but then also like it's very similar, like the way you live your life has to be consistent with the words that you're saying, because if they're not, why would anybody believe what you have to say? So that's another message, I guess, that I would, for people who are already like, I'm a libertarian, what do I got to do? Like, look, man, just live your life the way that you speak your life. Be disciplined, be free, but be freedom, equality, justice, all of those things depend on your discipline and who you are as a person, right? So
you guys have your own show that you do for the Libertarian Party of Minnesota. When is that kicking off again? Because you've been slacking.
We had attention has
because you're not busy enough, Rebecca.
Yeah.
I just
We
want you
used
to
to do
know.
it every Wednesday night, and we were like, we got into convention season mode, and then we did that, and then petitioning took off, and national convention took off, and it was so busy. Like things were just spinning up faster, and we were. Anyways, this is one of the casualties of that was the podcast, but
You know
we
what you
should totally
need?
do that again.
You need somebody from the party that's just can do this consistently. That's what you need.
And who would that be, TC?
I feel
I have no idea, but
another podcast.
I have no idea who that might be. I'm just telling you,
someone that's already doing it consistently.
But because I don't have enough of my own consistency to keep up, I gotta. Now you want me to consistently keep up with your lack of consistency. What is it? I don't know. There's got to be somebody in the party that could do it. That's all I'm saying is because this is where people are at now. This is where they're getting their information is platforms like mine, platforms like so many of the others, and I think that this would have reach if you establish the consistency aspect. So
I agree.
That's all I'm getting.
I almost kind of just thought it in my head that maybe it's worth the party's funds to pay for a producer of some sorts. And I mean, that's shop talk that we could talk behind the scenes, but I just thought of it. Like, I don't know. It's probably not that expensive. And like you said, what the value it could bring in return of investment as latched on members.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would love
today's
you
world,
guys.
man. It's today's world. Like, hey, did you guys watch Trump on Rogan yet? I watched it the full 3 hours today.
I'm
3 hours?
going to watch it or finish listening to it after this is done. Gotta go get groceries. So I thought I listened up to the point where they were talking about law enforcement, and then I thought I'm going to turn this off for a while.
Well, thanks for having us on today, TC.
You're leaving? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Like TJ's like, I gotta go pee.
Just like you said, you got groceries. I got stuff to get done today as well.
Stuff. Oh no.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted you guys to come on and talk a little bit about your campaigns and what's going on, and I wanted everybody to know that there are people out there fighting for them that are not part of the duopoly uniparty problem, and it was important to me to let them know that. So, hold on. Well, yeah, let me get us back to full screen then. If you're gonna hold on, I can make you go solo. I can make you go.
It's almost like Dave Smith's thing. Part of the problem. They are the problem. They're not part of the problem. That is definitely the problem. And yeah, we need to get some new voices out there. So show up, get out there and vote. If you haven't already, I mean, it's voting season now, so.
Yeah, it's almost 3:30. Rebecca's going to have to go milk cows.
I'm actually going to a rodeo this evening.
Sweet.
I get a date night.
That's very awesome.
Rebecca, going out and corralling the cattle is not going to a rodeo. I don't care how you spin it. You got chores to do. I appreciate trying to make it fun.
Well, I'm going to try to not get home too late so that, because the cow she still has to be milked this evening. Yeah. So, but I'm going to a rodeo. I even like cows in my free time. It's not just a job.
It's a way of life, like literally.
What's really endearing to me with my kids is that we live in cow country, right? And we get into our van and say we're going to church or something. And all our neighbors have cows. And they just get excited every single time they drive by all the neighbors, all the way to town, which is a little ways. They just get excited every time there's a group of cows. I love it. I mean, this is how it starts.
You just slowly reclaiming the countryside, one farm animal at a time.
That's how it's done.
Yeah. My oldest moved out, and as soon as she moved out, she got herself chickens and started doing gardening and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, I love
so
it.
She really didn't move out. She just changed locations. She went someplace where she could have all that.
She's trying to figure out where she can fit a cow now, and she's she wants goats, and
you're come right back home because we need you. Quite honestly, we need another adult.
I've got let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 teenagers in the house right now, and then one that'll be a teenager next year.
That's a staff.
This is a staff.
I'm not making comments about age because I have grandchildren, so
I don't have those yet. Doesn't mean I won't this time next year, but I don't yet.
You don't. I do not yet, she says. So,
well, Senator, guys, your term. So,
what was that?
U.S. Senator is 6-year term. All Senate seats, as far as I know, 6-year terms.
Yeah. Well, Tina Smith runs in 2 years.
Yeah.
And then there's a 2-year break. Nobody 4 years from now. and then Klobuchar up again in 6 years, assuming she wins. So-
Rebecca's just already kind of, yeah. So in 6 years, we're going to be going after Amy again.
That I was serious when I remember at the Defend the Guard rally, I said, I was like, I'm planning on seeking the endorsement for running against Klobuchar. And I was like, one tyrant after the next. This isn't over until every single one of them have fallen. And if that takes doing this again in 2 years, that's what I'm going to do. And 2 years after that, maybe I won't run, but somebody else will be, and I'll be supporting them.
In 4 years, there are going to be a lot more people in the party wanting to run.
Yeah, and in the meantime, in between those 2-year increments, there's a lot of work on the ground that needs to be done.
Absolutely.
And I have a lot of ideas that I have been talking to people and working on. And I'm not even sure, because I can't even remember who all I've talked to about my different ideas. I'm not even sure I've been able to get one person and verbally told the whole picture of what I'm thinking, because it's just it's coming to me in pieces, and I'm like, I don't know.
That's mostly because when you call me and I'm walking around work listening to you, which is fine. I'm always listening to something while I'm at work. You get a call from Chip. So thanks a lot, Chip. Every time Rebecca tries to call and tell me something, Chip calls. Okay. It's like he knows. It's like he's got the radar on, and he's like, I better call.
This is one thing I wasn't actually prepared for this campaign, was that how many text messages and phone calls and that kind of stuff that I would be getting. I'm going to have to figure out a way to manage this. Yeah.
So TJ, how big is your campaign staff? So we know Rebecca's got an entire team behind her. What is it? Just you look at TJ's like staff.
What? Hey, we're right here. My wife is my treasurer. She's upstairs.
She's your treasurer? That's so sweet. We'll clip that out and make sure she hears.
At least that's because it can't be legally. It can't be me.
Oh, you said treasurer. I thought you said treasurer.
Well, she's definitely my treasurer.
I'm trying to help you here, man.
Yeah, that was nice.
Women can have this weird thing of being able to multitask, so she can be your treasurer and your treasurer all at the same time.
No one multitasks.
She definitely can,
Madam Chair. No one multitasks. It's a myth. No one can do it. Women.
Yeah,
women just start a lot of projects and then run on to the next one and leave the mess for the husband to fix. That's what that's.
Well,
I feel attacked.
I'm hoping we can organize some more campaigns.
It's a nail on the head there. Oh, guys, it's okay. 5 questions, rapid fire answers from each of you. TJ, we're gonna actually, Madam Chair, we'll start with you. Top 2 podcasts you listen to on a regular basis.
Oh.
Doesn't matter what it's about, as long as it's not dirty.
The Political Orphanage and Tom Woods, and you'd be right up there with the Black Robe Regiment.
Oh, gosh. That's not why I asked. So I did not pay her or plan this. TJ?
Good Morning Liberty and Tom Woods as well.
All right. Let's see what did I say, 5? Okay. We'll go with 3. Most often thought about or referred to book on libertarian philosophy that you reference for yourself or in conversation, even if you don't quote it verbatim.
Well, The Democracy of the God That Failed, I do bring that up quite a bit because it hit me. I listen to it. I don't read very often, but when I'm driving or road
listening trip, is reading. Don't jeez.
And man, I almost got emotional thinking of this, and I was driving in the car, and when I was listening to those words it really speaks to me talking about incentives. So I think that's one of my favorite ones, and I've tried my best to read into Human Action, and
for the audience.
But that one right behind you, man, that book right behind you,
enough already.
That really opened my mind to being anti-war and things like that, and oof, that's some good stuff right there. Yeah, signed. I was with you.
That's a good one.
So when the Democracy, the God That Failed, just for the audience, and that is by
Hans Hermann Hoppe.
Yeah, there you go. I was
Oh,
like Papa Hoppa.
Hoppe.
Papa Hoppa.
But
Rebecca,
it's
you have
free on the Mises Institute Apple podcast. The Mises Institute has all kinds of audiobooks.
free audiobooks.
So I have two. One is a libertarian author, and one is not.
That's fine.
The first one is For New Liberty by Murray Rothbard. That's a good one. The second one is Tragedy and Hope by Carol Quigley. And that's the one where I really started to like put the pieces together of all the problems and, you know, like being able to like see the symptoms of the results of the establishment. But that's a like a historical record of the you know, the like basically the empire, the global empire. And that's not what he set out to do. He didn't set out to make a libertarian record, a historical record. But when you have, you know, the establishment and the empire and have their history in this nice, neat little package all put together, and you can see what it is, see who the players are and what their purpose was, how could you do anything but become a libertarian?
So I'll have you guys text those answers to me so I can put them in the show description. One TV show, movie, whatever it is that you've watched and thought the person who made this is, if they don't know it, they are definitely libertarians. And you can't pick the easy ones like Atlas Shrugged. You know, you can't pick. That's too easy.
Yeah. So can I go first? I got
Please.
Okay.
TJ's like, I don't know.
Books and a movie, or books and a TV show on Amazon Prime. It's called The Expanse. That one was definitely I'm a sci-fi person.
That was my geeky moment right there. I was waiting for somebody to say that. The Expanse.
Really?
Absolutely.
I gotta check that out.
Oh my gosh, you gotta go watch this. Not only is it an amazing storyline and just it's so well done, but like it's so good.
It's so libertarian.
And the books each are like this thick, and there's like
it's got a feeling of it's kind of like he wrote The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, Hanlon. It's got kind of that kind of feel. As
pretty sure I have the books on the shelf behind me.
Yeah, you've definitely got The Expanse.
I can't think of anything that to answer, but I do, when I do see the concept or message being displayed, I've definitely recognize it. Now probably point something out to somebody and they shut up. They're tired of hearing me talk about libertarianism.
You know,
say this because this and this means this, and after this and this is the consequences, and this and this.
The one for me that really kind of shook me a little bit when I started. So we'll blame, this is Rachel Nelson's fault, and we all know Rachel, so, and interact with her on Facebook. A couple of months ago, she said, I love watching MASH, and the first thing that happened for me was I reminisced because the song is so iconic. And you got the opening scenes are so iconic as well. And so I started watching it, and I'm like, years ago, I would have said, man, this show's full of a bunch of hippies. You know, there's definitely it's not. The show is like, they make no arguments for or against Republicans or Democrats. They just mock them. They mock the military industrial complex. They mock the endless wars. And I mean, just think about when they're making this, it's Korea. So it's following World War II. Like, they're making it obviously later than that, but it's, it's set in Korea, but it's an anti-war, anti-expansionism message that whether or not they knew they were doing it, they were creating a libertarian, argument for the non-aggression principle and anti-expansionism and anti-interventionism. And even some of the characters are, they're just kind of making like statements about culture and society without lecturing you.
Mhm.
And there was a time I would have been really offended by the show. I just would have, as I went through phases. So for
Sure.
me, I want to do like a watch party if we could do it, where we could just like once every couple of weeks just sit down and watch an episode of MASH and talk about the
There's got to be a
the
lot of episodes too.
oh yeah, I think I'm in season 3, and I think each season's like 78 episodes long or something. It's just
Wow.
tragically awful. It's just people are like, "You're watching MASH? What is?" There's nothing of all the things you could stream. I'm like, so I really appreciate you guys making time to do this today, and I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing. You guys, I have a lot of respect for both of you, a lot of love for both of you, and
Thanks.
thanks for including me in your circle. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on board, brother.
It wouldn't be the same without you here. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I really do enjoy your
you might be winning races. Oh, self-deprecating humor. You know how I work. I can't handle the nice stuff. It's you got to say something. Now you got to say something mean.
We see right through it.
I have a lot of, like I said, seriously, a lot of respect and love for both of you guys. Pretty much everybody, even the ones who don't know quite yet how they feel about me. They're like, I'm like, I don't blame you. I really don't blame you. So let me know if you need anything going out. Now you guys go, get out of here, and I'll close up, and I'll let you know when this drops. Well, Tuesday. For those of you who are watching, you know when it drops. Tuesday night at 8 p.m. So.
All right. I'll be in Japan, but I'll look forward to it for sure.
Or would that be looking
backward?
Forward?
I don't know.
Backward? Are you looking backward? You'd be looking backward.
I'm coming home on my birthday, and I'm going to get an extra 10 and a half hours. So October 31st can be 34 and a half hours.
So you're probably like 12 days older than you actually are at this point.
Well, see, you lose time as when you go there, and
you had to say something. We can't just go. Both of you, get out of here. Go live your lives.
Bye, you guys.
See ya.
I don't know how to close out.
Oh, two of the most important people in Minnesota right now, and I'm not just saying that. They are phenomenal minds. Each of them has their own quirks that are absolutely endearing, and we lovingly refer to TJ as the Fed. So he is he's a great soldier for the cause, and Rebecca is fighting the fight in ways that I just don't think anybody else could do it. She's uniquely equipped, energy level wise, and fortitude wise. She's uniquely equipped, and I can say this with her not in here right now because I know she would agree with me, but she would get emotional. She has the rock of all rocks in her corner in her husband, Keith. And you will not meet too many men that will stand so firmly behind their spouse and share them with the world the way he does with Rebecca. And that says so much about them as a couple. And they have kept each other alive. So go over to the Libertarian Party of Minnesota YouTube channel, subscribe to that, watch their stuff. You're going to go over there and you're going to see that they don't have a lot of views. They've got 200 and some subscribers, but we need more of you there. And we need everyone thinking about these messages and thinking about what they're going to do, as Rebecca said, going forward. 2 years from now is not the time to get involved. 2 years from now is not the time to get active. You need to be active today, and you need to be active tomorrow, and again on the 6th of November, and every day afterwards. Yes, you can have downtime, but you need to be active. The only way any of this changes, all these problems that every single one of us recognize, the only way any of this changes is when we demand change and require them to actually do something with the problem. We need to be the solution to the problems we let build up. Thank you so much for watching. Please, if you like the content, subscribe. If you like and want to support, you can go to Subscribestar and you can find me there, or you can join as a channel member here. Once again, a shout out to IMAV from Subscribestar as a show producer, and to the Angry Vet Tav for being a show producer from here on YouTube. Thank you to everyone that joins. Every single one of you is important to me. Every single subscriber is important to me. And even the people who come in here because they're looking for a fight, you are important to me as well. And I cannot thank you guys enough for sticking through this. And a special shout out to our BCA agents and our FBI agents. We hope you learned something today, and that you will repent of your sin and leave your slavish employment to the state. My friends, as my friend Monica made this sign for me over a year ago now, she did this by hand because she likes my tagline: fight for your liberty, it is yours. Fight for your freedom, it belongs to you. Sic Semper Tyrannis.
We are go for liftoff in T-minus 30.
Stand by for further instructions, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment.
Secondary guidance systems engaged.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, it will be on my mark.
All systems are a go. All systems are a go.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, you are over the target. You are authorized to fire at will.